Hi, welcome to Distributed Dissent, a podcast from two ex-finance lawyers about law, AI, and everything that we're interested in. So as always, my name is En Hong from Generous AI, and I'm joined by my co-host.
Hi, my name is Mathias. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Takuma Labs.
And thank you so much. So we're going to jump right into it. First off, we have news in the AI sphere, major fail that's happened. In my book, there was a really interesting vulnerability with Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, where researchers found that if they injected a single malicious link, they could kind of do some prompt. The way that the chatbot was handling external links, they could essentially do prompt injection and exfiltrate the user's entire chat history. Without the user knowing. So, these public chat tools, people are discovering ways to exploit them all the time.
Yes. I mean, the whole prompt injection saga, if you will, it's actually mind-boggling that is not on more people's minds. Mm-hmm. It seems to be such a big vulnerability, and you can go so far below, right? You can smuggle ASCII code into a prompt, into a document even. Mm-hmm. And the thing about ASCII code, what most people don't know is it is actually designed to have elements which are not displayed. So you actually don't see it. Right? It can be in the document, it goes into your prompt, and it does all kinds of things that, my mind falls kind of on two sides there, where I think the security and safety folk, when you go to Red Hat or a conference like that, I've never been, but people have, and they've told me about it. And it's basically like everybody else in the world is stupid. So if you're not paying attention to this one thing, then everything is just going to fall apart.
Yeah.
So it's probably not quite that, but with the distribution of these technologies in big enterprise businesses, it's quite surprising that people don't pay more attention to it. And you have a whole lot of hacking going on in that sense, right? Like people don't know what they're doing, and they're using it, and it exposes a lot of vulnerability there, probably.
Yeah, I think it increases the surface area of attack of a malicious actor. So every firm, they need to think about this on a level that people haven't done it before. Not just like, okay, we're using chat bots and we need to think about it. But even if you're running a traditional business, just like deepfakes are going to open up an entire area of fraud that people are falling for every day now. So I think the cybersecurity guys they're right in their general sense on this is important, and it seems like not that many people are talking about it. But they get lost in the weeds because when they try to explain it to like a layperson, they're like, oh, this like inane vulnerability and this thing can cause you to lose all your data. And most normal people are like, okay, so I guess I'll update my antivirus. Right? Most people are like, what do I do with this information?
And where it also falls sort of to the wayside, unfortunately, is then they overcompensate and they build something so secure which becomes unusable for the normal user, right? And then everyone's just like, oh, this is too complicated. I don't want to bother with it. So I guess I'll just have a risk here. That's not a good outcome either.
Yeah, so it's a balance. It's like, how do you effectively, it's like incentives. How do you effectively incentivize your people to take the proper amount of precaution based on the amount of risk that they expose themselves to?
And it's a slippery slope, right? Like even for us, I feel, for myself, like where a year ago, there's certain information I just would not ever have pasted into a tool, an AI tool. And today, it's just, I've been trying, like, it's been 13 turns. I'm not getting anywhere. Screw it. I'm just going to upload this Excel sheet now.
Yeah.
Right? And, it's difficult. What else is new? On my list is ChatGPT Go, which is the entry subscription to OpenAI's chat service. I find it interesting for various reasons. On the one hand, so it's $8 a month. It's a lot cheaper than than the minimum subscription today, which was $20. It's going to be interesting how people use it, because I actually think if you're not paying for a pro subscription, you're not even getting the full throttle anyways. But most interesting is to me that they're introducing ads, right? And as little as, 6 months ago, it was sort of this non-negotiable line, we're never going to have it. And they're doing it now, right? And is it the admission that this is not a viable consumer product because it's just too expensive to run, right? And how will it just throttle usage? Is it the nano models? So if you're only paying $8, then you're kind of getting suboptimal results, and possibly results infused with information from ad sellers, and it becomes all super unreliable, as little reliability as it already has, right? So yeah, that's an interesting space to watch, I think, going forward.
Yeah, I think that's really, there's a couple layers to this that I want to unpack there. So one, there's the free model. There's the free offering, right, from ChatGPT, where everyone should know that they're training on your data. And so those are kind of the nano models. I think they are still throttled. So you have a certain number of credits, and then it just stops you from using it after a certain amount of usage, right? So there's the free tier where you don't get to use very much using the basic models, and they are training off of your inputs and off your data. And then there's this intermediate tier, which comes from actually India. And so culturally, for some reason, India has fallen in love with AI. Like, apparently you go to like any restaurant in India now, and all the menus are like very like AI pros. Like, this is the, hailing from the mountains of like Chile or whatever. This is like the most amazing and like insightful pizza that you've ever had in your life. Something like that, where like using AI to write all their menus, using AI for all the art. You like walk around like anywhere, and it's just very blatantly just like everyone is using AI for everything. And so ChatGPT has a cheaper subscription in India. Things like $3 a month or $5 a month.
And just catering to economic realities.
Yeah, you're catering to economic realities, and there's a part of that where it's I can get it, where just get your client to pay anything, even if it's $1 a month or $2 a month, just to get them off that free tier and to get them used to paying you something every month, and then you can do what like all the streamers do, which is Netflix now costs, I don't even know how much money it costs, honestly.
It's just baked in.
It's just baked in. Like, when I subscribed to Netflix, I think it was like $7.99 a month. Now it's multiple times that. And they send me these emails, oh, we're increasing your subscription by whatever amount. But it's so much that like
spam.
I can't even, Netflix is so integral to like, life that I can't, like, unless it was such a number where I looked at my credit card and I was like, oh my God, what is this? I wouldn't cancel it. It's just, we're increasing it by, $2 a month. $2 a month now.
Tangent on the tangent, that they really rubbed me the wrong way. Like, they tried to force me out of the App Store into a credit card thing, and I didn't want it. And they kind of, they did this so poorly. I was just like, okay, I'm not doing that. Like, we don't have Netflix anymore.
How do you live?
Quick coming back on your point, like AI everywhere, right? I was trying to put a bunch of difficult concepts into an image to make it to translate it better, to communicate it better.
Yeah.
And I was trying a long time, and I came up with something. It looks amazing, and then I sent it to my co-founder and said, "Here, what do you think?" And he said, "Yeah, it blows my mind, but it's just it's the same thing that is everywhere." And it's just, and it's actually an interesting change in mood, and he's very on point there, where if you'd given me any of these AI generated images a year ago, I would have been, this is incredible. You give it to me today, I'm like, it's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And I find that an interesting point about India, that seems to, still be.
And culturally, they don't have this to it that
yet, maybe.
Yes, and I wonder, there's multiple things there. Like, there's definitely a cultural element where like in Western culture, there's a lot of value placed in originality, is to be original and not to be like, like it's the classic like band thing. It's like, I like this band before you even knew they existed, when they were just playing random coffee shop on the side of the street, and now they're all popular and I hate them because everyone knows who they are. So there's that kind of like, I don't know how much that translates into other cultures. I would assume actually it's probably probably comes from like this ideation of like innovation and originality and all these things that people really put a lot of emphasis on in the West. And for cultures where that doesn't really matter as much, where for Asian cultures where it's actually partly, a lot of places it's better to be seen as, oh, I'm part of the group and I'm not sticking out, and there's probably comfort there where it's not as immediate, just kind of this ugh. And then there's also a part of it where it's like, oh, this is clearly low effort. There is that signal where if you see it and it looks like AI art, it's slop, right? Like you get bundled into the entire slop category where it's like, oh, this was low effort. And there's ways around that, right? Like change your art style, like practical tips, like change your art style, try to work around the models so that it doesn't default to that standard thick line cartoony. I think like ChatGPT made it like famous because that's your like default whatever art style it is. It's like this thick lined cartoon, kind of like 2D, very flat art style. And the best
the Ghibli
kind of thing. Yeah. There's something that's like you can identify very clearly. Okay, this is the ChatGPT default art style. And you can get around that, right? There's a lot of ways to get around that. There's a lot better models. There's different things for art. You can work around it with some effort. And then there's the other element where you can do kind of amazing things. And so it's like, don't let spend a little bit of effort, no matter if it's writing or art or whatever, you can spend actually a little bit more effort and make it so that it is not immediately evidently AI.
I think the individuality point is a good one in the sense that the two things come to mind. One is there's no individuality without a group, right? Like you can't become an individual if you're not trying to differentiate yourself from a group. So both kind of need to exist at the same time. And there's a really good blog on Substack, Algorithmic Bridge. I love reading it. And the guy made a really amazing point, and I really subscribe to it. I think we're going to see more proliferation and more focus on individuality and weirdness in an age of AI. And what he meant, and what I think makes a lot of sense, is the models are defaulting to some average, right? So everything becomes an average. Things that are out of distribution are not represented, or low probability that you're going to see any of that. That makes them also not great at solving uncommon problems, right? And I think about legal work, for example, right? Like elite law firms trying to solve problems with average of other people's knowledge. Not sure, like I have a lot of questions about that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you as an individual kind of harness your weirdness, your out of distribution weirdness, and supplement that with these tools, you probably have a way to go, right? Like that there's something there. There's a there there.
Yeah, I love that. I think about that a lot in terms of like competitiveness as a company and like what we do, and competitiveness as even like a person, and like, as a dad, like I think about like what skills are like my kids need to have when they're growing up. And I love that it's exactly that, where it's like you want to say like, how can I be differentiated and how can I be competitive? And so there's like big shifts happening right now with AI. And I think one of the biggest shifts with AI is, so if we go back to the internet and what happened with the internet, and what the big unlock of the internet was that it reduced the cost of distribution down to zero or close to zero. Suddenly, those gatekeepers, the distributors, all their power is taken away, right? If you wanted to, in the past, if you wanted to be a really famous author, a successful author at least, you needed to have your books at, Borders Books and Barnes and Noble's books, and make sure, shelf space was really important, and the physical location of your content was really important. Same thing if you made movies or TV shows or anything, you had to be carried on one of the big three networks, even before cable, right? And then cable democratized it a little bit more. And you had 100 channels, but still.
And then came Netflix.
Yeah, and then you needed, but you still needed to be picked up by a distributor, right? The distributor held a lot of power. And then you had Netflix. Well, before Netflix, you had YouTube. Suddenly, you can just put something out there. Your cost of distribution is almost zero, and then the value of the quality of your product and how you promoted it and how you yourself got an audience, that's what became really valuable. And so the internet came in and put all of the gatekeepers and the distributors out of business. And now you have AI, which reduces the cost of content creation down to, very close to zero. And so in the past, okay, you wanted to create a really great, say, animated TV show, or you wanted to create an ad or something.
That was impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible. Like, you want to make an animated TV show, you need to hire artists, and you could, you can even go to Asia, and there's like South Korea has a very famous like kind of lower cost animation industry, but it was still a pretty significant cost. And you needed to hire voice actors, you need to do all this stuff, and then suddenly you can say, okay, art is now, the cost of producing art is now really low. The cost of writing something, in the past you had to hire writers, right? You need a writer's room to kind of like churn through just drafts and drafts of stuff, and now you can have an AI that writes a lot of stuff for you. And so what happens when the cost of content also reaches zero, where it doesn't cost that much to just quote unquote produce something, whether it's good or not? What skill then becomes the differentiating factor on what you're going to be successful?
Yeah, it's the curation skill, right? And I love that as a perfect setup, because that's kind of one of the topics I wanted to talk to you about today. Last time around, we spoke a little about vibe coding in the legal community.
Mr. So.
Yeah, and how it's really incredible to see that non-coders are taking AI tools to turn their ideas into reality, right? And so I would expand on your thought that content creation comes at zero cost now. Even application creation comes at increasingly zero cost, right? So differentiation with an application is going to get increasingly more difficult. Now, at the same time, I've become increasingly annoyed with all the vibe coding posts. I mean, my LinkedIn feed is filled with, hey, look, I vibe coded this amazing thing. And
mine too.
And then you start peeling the onion, and first of all, you realize, well, have you actually created something new and creative? Like is it something genuinely different? Mostly it's not. Mostly it's, hey, look, I vibe coded this Harvey feature. Okay. Not bad, and that maybe tells us more about Harvey's defensibility than your creativity. That's the one thing. And then I think what this comes down to, and that kind of is the same thing about, I'm not really worried about the creative industry in some sense, because I think most people who haven't studied writing or movie making, they're probably not very good movie makers, right? Like you don't know what is an arc of a story, how does this need to go, and for lawyers, I feel it's a similar thing, right? Like you're a lawyer, and you would be incredibly upset if some software engineer showed up and said, no, I don't need lawyers. I've created my SPA here with my AI tool. Right? You'd be like, guys, like, you don't understand. And but that's kind of what's happening, like the other way around, right? Like people are saying, oh, like this is amazing. Like, look, I built this is fantastic. Like, I don't need software engineers anymore. And I think that's not the right message.
Yeah, it's not the right message, but it's because I think there's two things there. Lawyers have always been kind of scared and intimidated by technology. and that's
Great.
a stereotype, right? Like, oh, I'm a arts and language guy. I'm not a STEM person, and it's a little bit of like, oh hey ma, like now I can do STEM too, and look how easy STEM is. And thumbing their nose at engineers, and engineers I'm sure are just looking at the code and being just like, yeah, good job there, like good job
going.
Timmy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
keep going.
you've built you've done something there.
I look forward to fixing it for an astronomical
Yeah,
price tag.
or actually just looking at it and saying we just need to burn this to the ground and rebuild it completely. Like this is not a it works, quote unquote, but is not a ready to use product, right? I think we talked before about like I had a car analogy where it's like you can sure like you can you can imagine like you've thrown something that looks like a car, and you turn it on and you press the gas and it can go down the street, and you're like, look ma, I can build a car. Look how amazing it looks just like a Ferrari, and then you turn left and the car explodes, and where you open up the hood and it's just like and a mechanic comes by and it's like what is this? Why is your gas tank connected to the brakes? Why do you have these 3 cylinders that are right? You turn on your radio and you're injecting like brake fluid into your V12 and it's going to explode. So there are probably a billion ways your program is just going to explode the second you touch 2 buttons at once.
Yeah, and it's a lot of the 80-20 problem, right?
Yeah.
Like getting to 80% is really only a fraction of the time and effort you need to spend, but getting it past that point is really where a lot of the effort lies, right?
And if you've ever worked as an engineer, you know this. It's like, hey, it takes maybe an hour to code this new feature, and you feel really good about it. Like I coded this feature, look how great it is, and you spend 3 weeks debugging it, and that's where you want to shoot yourself in your face because you throw this edge case and it's like breaking, and then you're stepping through the code, and real engineers know, oh yeah, like congrats, we've built this feature, and then we have to incorporate it into our legacy code, and then we have to fix the 87 bugs that come up, and that's the vast bulk of engineering time is just spent like fixing stuff.
I mean, I will concede that it's really compressed production cycles in the sense that maybe we talked about last time, but where previously I would have had to go and I think about a feature, and then I go have to talk to a designer and get them to kind of visualize it. Like, does it even actually work? And then I'll have to take it back to engineering, discuss with them and say, you're insane, this is never going to work, this is way too complicated. Like, this is like all bespoke, it's going to take 2 weeks. And then I go back and we change it. So this is all like this whole long process, right? And now I can, of course, go and I can actually build this out on the surface layer, right? And then I can try it out. I can drag around and I can say, is this actually the way that I imagine it to be great, but now that I'm clicking around, it's actually not, right? And so that cycle is definitely sped up, but that is not quite the same as giving it to an engineering team and then turning into a proper full feature, right? And if we're taking the law firm example, I mean, maybe not yet, but certainly as of today, none of these firms are equipped with legions of engineers who can turn that into reality, right? Maybe they're changing as organizations, but I haven't heard that yet.
But then it's like, what's your business? Are you selling law, or are you selling technology, or are you selling a product? And if you're selling law, it's almost like, think about where your business should go. Are you a great lawyer who is a terrible engineer? Or are you a great engineer who is a terrible lawyer? Or there are, and back to that competitiveness angle, it's if you can meld both, and you can be really good at both domains or multiple domains, I think that's where you can really unlock a lot of opportunity. And so if you, most people aren't going to be really great at, say, movie making, just out of the box. But there are certain super talented people. You give them a camera and they just know, right? Like Steven Spielberg, like very famously when he was a kid, he was already making like really, you could tell, oh man, this kid has talent. There's that element to it where you can tell from a young age, certain people just have certain predispositions to certain things. And then, of course, they still have to learn a lot, right? Then you equip them and they can learn so much about movie making. They can be one of the greatest, movie makers of all time.
Yeah. Default to the average and then differentiate by.
Yeah, and so you can get to that average.
Right.
And so you're reducing the cost of getting to the average. And so back to the movie making example, now you can make a lot of storyboards really quickly, right? So you can prototype. If you can build a vibe coding app, realize that it's probably great for prototyping and internal use, and to see, okay, what does this idea in my head actually look like? And let me click around it and see how it is. And then I can take this concept and give it to a team of engineers to really build it out. Or if I'm talented enough of an engineer, then yeah, I could probably take it away and build it out too. And there are people who are really talented at 2 or 3 or maybe 4 domains. And those people can be incredibly successful because, like we talked about before, AI is a force multiplier, right? It gives you so much more agency if you know how to use it. If you do have legal training and you run like we do, we run companies. Actually, like our external legal spend is close to 0 because I'm confident enough as a lawyer to say like, oh no, like my employment agreements, I'm just gonna do them myself. Almost all of my the commercial contracts that I do, I'm just gonna do it myself because I'm confident enough, and I can have an AI write the first draft, and then I go in and tweak it and adjust it and fix it. I know what I want.
I know what's missing. Yeah.
And I can fix it. And as an engineer, you can do the same. Like I can have AI do the internal prototyping of this, or I can build the internal tool out, and I can also very, very importantly, I'm not just throwing it at Lovable or Manus or whatever and being like, build me this entire code base. As a lawyer, the way I interact with AI is like, here's the outline of the agreement that I want, or here's the exact things I wanted to say. Here are the sections I wanted to do. Draft me these 3 sections. Then I go and I take a look at each section, and I tweak it, and then I build out the more sections. And I think a lot of real engineers that use coding tools, this is what they do, right? Okay, here's the architecture of my program. Here's the different modules I have. Build me this module and this module and this module. And they go through and they tweak every one, and they make sure that it knits together fine and it works together fine. And then that's how you use these tools effectively.
Yeah.
And so they're not magic.
Right.
They are an assistant.
The other layer there, I think, is users, I believe, are terrible decision makers of features and they're just terrible designers in sort of quotes. They don't really know what they want, right? Because if you ask the user, what do you want, then yeah, like there should be a button here, right? No, absolutely no button, no more button. We already have 10 buttons, right? Like another button is not the option.
It's like the Simpsons episode where Homer designs the car.
I haven't seen
You haven't seen that? Okay, it's a good one.
So the wider point is, right, like actually getting more lay people doing stuff randomly, like could give rise to new ideas, to different ideas, but at least on my feed on the lawyer vibe coding, I haven't seen anything where I was like, oh wow, like this is totally different. Like somebody really came up with something genuinely new. I found it slightly frustrating.
Yeah, and it's and to a little bit. I mean, no offense to the lawyers that do this, but realize you're producing slop. You're just producing engineering slop. You're producing app slop. Just like when you see a bunch of people put like low effort written LinkedIn posts on where it has the very clear AI voice and is channeling some sort of thing, that's like LinkedIn slop. And the people who are making all these low effort ChatGPT cartoons, that's cartoon slop. Congrats, you are now producing app slop. And you've just discovered the ability to produce app slop, just like everyone else has discovered the ability to produce cartoons who had no like drop of artistic talent in their blood. And it's not to say that if you know what you're doing, you can't produce something really amazing and cool. But just be humble enough to know what you don't know, right? I'm not saying that you could be a great engineer. You could have actually a really good engineering background and then you went to law school. There are plenty of actually lawyers I know who have classical computer science engineering degrees
probably
from great
more,
universities.
That's probably more common in North America than in many other places.
Oh,
just
yeah,
for
because,
the, just for the
because law
for the
school is a
path,
graduate degree. Yeah.
yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Funnily, as an aside, I feel like if I mentally run through like successful legal tech startups out of the US, I think none of these people are computer science degree holders.
Oh, really? I don't know their backgrounds. I know most of them are lawyers, actually, though.
That's yeah. Maybe we should check that.
We should check it. There's a couple, right? Like, is Harvey founded by lawyers? Actually, I don't know.
Yeah.
Harvey's founded by lawyers. Case Text is founded by lawyers. But we would, because most of the media that covers them just says, oh, there were lawyers at so and so. They don't actually go back and say what they studied in undergrad. And they all have undergrad degrees. So that'd be interesting. But again, being able to vibe code something doesn't make you also a successful business either.
Especially now, right?
Especially now.
Yeah. But I wanted to take something you said about value and the value you create into kind of the next topic that was on my list, and that was airing grievances, I suppose. The other thing that has a sort of rejuvenation scene with AI entering law and then all professional services, and this is the legal business model is broken. We need to move away from the billable hour. We need to find a values-based approach, and it frustrates me to a certain degree because I think it's an overly simplistic take on what we probably need. And I know we have slightly contrarian views on this, so let's dissect that a little bit. And I'll just lay out where I struggle. So do I believe that the billable hour is the perfect way to quantify work to be done for clients? It probably isn't. We touched on this in the past. There will always remain a certain amount of work that is just so bespoke and so unique. There's just no real way of finding a better measure than how much time will this take us, right? And at the same time, which means there's also, however, a layer which is much more commoditized, and when it's a commodity, the amount of effort, the amount of time it takes me, when everybody can do it, is probably not a good measure of value. However, where I sort of fall in a different camp from most of the things that I see is I just don't really fundamentally understand how to measure that value. And specifically, like if I take a share purchase agreement, if I take an IPO, if I take a merger agreement, an investment agreement, even a service agreement, maybe an employment agreement, right? Like there's a dollar value attached to that. But already an employment agreement kind of falls on the line, right? Because if I pay somebody $100,000, then I kind of hope that they will do more from me than generate $100,000, right? So, and you could keep moving that further along, and if somebody could explain to me, for example, what a shareholders agreement is worth, I would be really curious to come to that math equation. And what I mean is, so what is it? Like, is it the investment amount? Is it my stake in the vehicle? Or is it my management attention that I didn't have to spend going forward if this was properly thought through, versus all the pain that I will endure if it wasn't done properly? Like, which one is it? Is it a combination? I don't know. Nobody can say, right? So I find that a sort of simplification of the reality and sort of the self-flatulation of, we're like, this is the thing that sort of looking back has always driven me crazy as a lawyer, where there's always this demeanor of, I'm so sorry, like it's so expensive, and then please, like, don't be annoyed with me. And there's actually so much value that a good lawyer provides, where yeah, maybe you shouldn't be taking that posture, right?
Yeah.
You have a slightly different take.
I have so many thoughts here. One, as a client for a long time, I hated getting bills from my external counsel. So apologies to external counsel that I've used in the past that are listening to this. But honestly, when I see like a line item, paralegal, $400 an hour for summarizing email or for filling out form and like putting it somewhere. And, we know that your paralegals can't do legal work, but why am I paying $400 an hour for the paralegal to summarize and do paperwork? That would just make my blood boil. On the flip side, when a really senior partner who I call up for advice and he gives me some really good advice and I get the bill and it's like 15 minutes phone call with N, $2,000 an hour. I've never once been like, oh man, I got ripped off. Like $2,000 an hour, like what? I'm actually like, wow, he only really charged me 15 minutes for this. And the value of that advice was far more than $500 to me, to my business, to everything. And so that's where a lot of people get, the billable hour, I think, was a good concept that's been taken like way too far in some areas and has just made people so angry. And I would almost say, like, if you're a lawyer who feels like they have to apologize to their clients about their billable hours, maybe you're doing something wrong. Because as a client, I can tell you, I've been plenty of times where I've been more than happy to pay for something on a billable hour basis. But 80% of the time, I'm just furious that someone charged me billable hours. Yeah, someone charged me partner hours for a referral. I asked for like the names of like a good lawyer in another jurisdiction that I knew they didn't cover, and thanks for finding me one. But you're gonna charge me half an hour of your $2,000 hourly time for a referral? Like
That's just,
come on,
that's just
right?
no future business here from
Exactly. But people do this all the time. Like firms do this all the time, and they get into this mindset of well, I spent time on this, so my time is worth this. And that comes down to like, that's where it breaks down.
Yeah,
That's where the billable hour breaks down. Like your time is not worth that. The outcome you deliver to me as a client is worth a certain amount of money. And how do we define that? It's like you were saying, it's hard.
Yeah, and of course in that on that layer where you're serving a market that doesn't maybe have the resources to, like in your case, right? Like where your average hedge fund with a 30 million AUM, like they're not going to have a 15 people compliance team, right? Like it's just not in the cards. So what do you do?
$10 billion hedge funds have like 2 people in compliance, right?
So what do you do when things are getting more complex, right? But I think there's also the additional angle to that where and I'm not sort of trying to diminish what you guys are accomplishing, but with compliance, you'll never get yelled at by taking the middle of the road, by taking the conservative approach, right? You're like, you doing sort of the normal is almost by default your go-to choice of a decision.
Wait, but maybe. Okay, I'm gonna let you finish. Then I have.
So and whereas please but where I think that is very different is if you're looking to complicated transactional work, litigation work, right? This kind of defaulting to what we've always done might really not be called for, right? So my wider point is, I think with compliance work, it makes a lot of sense because the playbook is there. The playbook evolves gradually, right? And sometimes in big steps, and then we need to adjust. But if I don't have the resources and I want to play it safe, then I know where to go, and that's a very safe place to put automation around, to work with what's worked for everyone, right? You're not going to get congratulated on having kept the business compliant. You're only going to get yelled at when things go
wrong. That's very true. But there's a flip side to that, and this is what I tell a lot of junior compliance people. People have this view of compliance as ticking the box and making sure we do all the things that we need to do, and there is a big element to that. And what we do as a business is we try to automate that ticking the box and to deliver the compliance program, the machinery of compliance at a lower, more efficient cost and better, right? With automation, with AI, and with a lot of other things
Give
that we do.
people the comfort that they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, give people the documentable comfort that they're doing the right thing. In the past, compliance used to require armies of people to do all this box ticking, all these things, and we can think we can do that better. But there's this other element to compliance where when you get to the very senior levels, when you're no longer just a compliance analyst and a compliance grunt ticking the boxes, your value to the business is not I'm taking the middle road and I am delivering an average compliance program. Your value to the business is quantifying the compliance risk that we're taking with any given transaction and any given posture that we take. Because at the very senior levels, you need to realize finance is the business of taking risk. And so you can take investment risk, you can take market risk, you can take counterparty risk, you can take all these other areas of risk that finance people know and understand are quantifiable. And what your real value is as a great compliance officer and a great GC and a great senior leader is to start to quantify the other risks that financial firms take. One of these risks is regulatory risk. And you're not serving your firm by reducing regulatory risk to zero, because that doesn't exist. Right? You can say
that's like the offline device that's super safe.
Exactly.
But you can't do much with it.
And the default of that is you just can't do any transactions. You just can't do any business. Oh, you wanted to do that trade? Oh, it doesn't. The law doesn't say if you can or can't do it. So you just no, you're not going to do it. Or you want to take this posture with this client? Oh, the law doesn't say if you can or can't do it, but you can't do it.
But I think the differentiator is, I think you put it very precisely, the market is able to quantify that. And my view is that for a lot of the legal work, there is no market that can quantify.
Unless you can quantify it for them. And so your job as a great lawyer, as a great compliance officer, as a great GC is to go and say to the business units, you're going to take this level of reputational risk if you take this. You take this thing. I can't put exact numbers on it, but I think, okay, you may have a 80% chance of this not blowing up in your face, but a 20% chance that it blows up in your face. And if it blows up, these are the things that are going to happen, right? You're going to have fines, reputational risk, lost business, clients may freak out, and this is how much money we're going to have to spend to cover this up. This is how much money we think this is going to cost you in risk, and we can debate on the probabilities of it happening, and we can explain to you, okay, this is why I think the probabilities. Like, you go to president, you say, okay, these 5 firms were found to be doing this and they got fined this amount of money, but these 3 firms weren't doing it, or they're doing it a different way and they were in the clear, and this has happened. That's you're steering, you're quantifying what is hard to quantify.
And this is where, of course, a really good lawyer provides the value, right? And those people take the time to understand the business, and they take the time to ask the right questions, and they ultimately become the trusted advisor to their client, right? And yet again, I still feel it's really hard to put numbers on that, right? And I was fortunate to meet a very prominent lawyer back in Germany quite a number of years ago, and he became sort of most prominent in the sense that he was asked to join a client to go to the U.S. On a conversation about a merger with Enron. And he was just there. He didn't really partake anything. He was just in the room. He was just listening. And on the way back, his client came to him and said, well, what do you think? And he said, I can't tell you. I don't know. It feels off. Something is off.
Yeah.
Something's weird. I wouldn't go for it. Yeah. And when the whole Enron thing collapsed, like a few months on, he got a call from this client. And it won't surprise you that that client never, ever went anywhere else again.
Yeah, of course, right?
So that's this intuition that you can bring to the table, right? But to take another turn on it, at the same time, right, like trying to get the market to value what you bring to the table. What we're seeing in China is the counterexample.
Yeah.
Right. You have some insight there. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So we touched on this one of the earlier pods, but legal services in China for domestic Chinese transactions are essentially zero. It doesn't matter if you're a red circle firm or a smaller boutique. Clients, the expectation for clients now is you're going to do the work for essentially no money. And that's because of right reasons, right? The entire involution thing, the clients themselves aren't getting paid. No one's making any margin in China. The entire cycle is horrifically broken. And there's kind of two ways out, right? One is to hope you are the last firm standing and you have these relationships, which are the value, right? And when the market turns, you can start charging your clients money again for them. And the second thing is really that's almost like where it's gone to its horrific conclusion, right? So all of the lawyers on LinkedIn saying, oh man, we should do something about the billable hour and all these other things. It's like, hey, look what's happening in China right now where your time is now worth nothing. And to get the clients to pay you anything, it's already a victory. I don't have any solutions there, right? Other than
I think nobody does.
Nobody does, right? I don't know what's going to happen. Frankly, of course it's unsustainable. It's unsustainable to have no value to what you're doing. But what happens when the market tells you you have no value, but we still need? What happens when the market tells you we're not going to pay you for what you do, but somehow we still need you to do the work for us because it's not going to proceed without it.
To me, the likelier outcome is that things are going to go belly up one way or the other, at least on occasion, right? Which then, when you as a business come to the realization that the people you didn't value before, accordingly maybe didn't put in as much effort as they could have, had you paid them, and now you find yourself in some terrible predicament. Maybe that's a lesson learned going forward. But that's a very long cycle.
It's a very long
to
cycle
survive, right?
To
as
survive.
as a service provider.
To a service side. So you have to think of other ways to monetize, right? And back to the earlier thing about ChatGPT, it's almost, the way we view this as a business is just try to get the clients to pay something, a small amount every month. And if you feel like in the old billable hour world, it's really undervaluing your time and your effort, on the flip side, think how much value your clients are getting from you and how happy they are. And realize that you are investing into a long-term relationship. You're investing into a relationship that, if it's a good relationship, at some point, you will get fairly paid for your services. But at least when you've gotten your clients to assign a numerical value to your services. And two, at some point, I found in my career that over the long arc, most people get paid what they deserve, whether it's your job or your career or anything else. Some years you might be underpaid, some years you may get overpaid, but I have not met a talented, hardworking person that has consistently just been unable to get paid what they should have been getting paid. And so, just keep your head down and think about how to build that relationship, because that's the kind of the key of, I think, that AI won't replace. No amount of vibe coding is gonna get you a relationship with a trusted advisor relationship with a client.
So we were just partaking in this and some lectures around sales and just I don't know, just getting better at that motion. And I have a lot of like contrarian thoughts on that, only because it like some of it felt a lot like, hey, there's a pattern, and now if you're not executing the pattern, then you're basically already behind. And my take on some of this was, well, maybe people don't respond to that because everybody's doing the same thing, and the guys who were, just sharing from their insight from lifelong sales and Salesforce and big institutions like that, and they're saying, yeah, like the cycle is definitely also there compressed, right? Like where previously you found that, I don't know, sending an email at a particular time of the week got you a higher response rate than elsewhere. Well, if everybody's sending the email at the same time, then you're not not better off, right? But the interesting take there, and that weirdly dovetails also with weirdness and individuality, what we were talking earlier. Like one of the guys was saying, well, yeah, like selling is human, right? Like you're not like ultimately, like you need to build that relationship. You need to put in the effort. You show me, you know me, right? And if there's none of that, then why would anybody buy from you, right? So and there's no difference there in selling some consumer product or selling some expensive service, right? And of course the regular touch point, through an automated solution maybe that you provide to your client, gives you the opportunity, right, to interact more frequently, to have that conversation, right, to be closer to, rather than these one-off, two-off kind of a year, formally bringing people in for some training or something. Yeah, that's all nice, but like moving closer to the actual set of problems that you're trying to help clients with, right? Like that's how
you build a real relationship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that's perfect. Like even what we do, like doing a podcast, is also a way of bringing ourselves closer to our clients hopefully. Hopefully our audience, because the research has shown that podcasts, more than any other kind of media, gives the audience a feeling of that relationship. And for what we try to do is we just try to be honest and to share our unfiltered thoughts with each other, and hopefully our listeners will find that interesting. But it's the same thing with that sales and relationship building. There's no one way, there's no formulaic way to do it, right? There are, I think, a general set of sales best practices that people should take away and think about, and then to try to incorporate into who are you as a person and who are you as an organization, what's your culture and what product are you selling and who are your clients and how you interact with them and all of these things. And then you almost have to make it your own thing. And it's like the same, like tools can make it better. AI can make it more efficient. But if you're just relying on AI to write you some AI slop emails that go out at the best practice time every week, don't expect like any kind of miracle to come out with it. Or you've built an AI bot that now spams every single person's LinkedIn messages with like a short punchy like, hey, how are you doing? Like, we'd love to connect. Don't expect it to translate into anything.
I'm really astonished by some of this. I wonder who pays for it or how this works. The number of LinkedIn messages I get like, hey, like I'm building this super random thing, which is, I don't know, like totally unrelated to what I am doing, what I've ever done. I thought it would be a good opportunity to connect. No, I don't know. Like, no.
Yeah, LinkedIn, some combination of LinkedIn Sales Navigator and some AI SaaS product that promises their end users to supercharge their lead generation, whatever it is. Again, then you're just, whoever the people are doing this, realize you're producing sales slop, right? Then it's just sales slop, and you're going to get the reaction that you would get when you look at
totally
that of any other thing.
Cool. Any recommendations this week?
Oh yeah, I have started watching Ozark.
Okay, that's
about money laundering.
Been around for a while.
It's been around for a while. My media intake is on Netflix, which you can't watch now because you got mad at them for changing your subscription process. But it's about money laundering. which is of course a soft spot for me. It's really well written. It's really well acted. It's just really well done.
Maybe I should give it another go. I remember when it first came out, I tried, and I don't know, I couldn't get into it at the time. I'm not sure why. Maybe I should give another pass.
I mean, as a compliance person, I have a soft spot for any media that does one of the this is a tangent. One of the more recent Jack Ryan movies. It was like a reboot of a reboot, but it was with the guy who plays Chris Pine. And like it got like went nowhere. That's this movie. So it was a Jack Ryan movie with Chris Pine, and he's like a young Jack Ryan, and there's some espionage stuff. But his job in that movie, his cover job is he's a compliance officer at a bank. I remember watching. I was like, yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah.
way to go, compliance officer at a bank who has who's really just working for the CIA and is a shenanigans happen.
I started watching Pluribus.
I've heard good things.
For since I don't know, beginning of December or whenever they started. It's quite thought provoking. It's really interesting. I highly recommend it. It's difficult to really talk about it because if you do, you're kind of giving it away what the storyline is. But it has a lot of. It starts out weird, but like if you find yourself trying, I would recommend stick with it because it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it.
Awesome. I'm gonna give it a go.
And I want to give a shout out to Alberto Romero, the author of Algorithmic Bridge. He's of late become my, like, I don't want to say go-to person, but when I see a piece coming out on his Substack, I go and consume it. He is really smart in his observations. One piece in particular, The Shape of AI, I loved it. Like talking through how, like we perceive the world in a particular way, which is shaped by our senses. And you can almost say, okay, well, for simplicity, that's like almost like a triangle maybe, right? Like there's 3 sides to this, or 5 sides to it, whatever. And this is how we perceive the world, and this is how we've built the world. And the shape of AI is just a different one, right? And maybe it's more like a square or like some other shape, but there's going to be overlap, and where there is overlap, we're probably going to be eclipsed. But there's going to be spikes there where we will outlast because we're different, and nobody's found a way to build that technology into that shape.
It sounds like a topic for another pod.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was good to see you.
Yeah, likewise. We'll see you next time. All right, thanks everyone.
Take care. Bye.